I'll have to see some of it. I never seen any of it. I do know that the reason Duggan turned was the same reason Butch Reed turned in 1985. Maybe that's the reason South Wrestling went down the tubes. Because didn't Butch Reed change the same way Duggan did? What it over Skandar Akbar?
It was similar. Yeah, it was DiBiase supposed to not been working with Akbar, but he was. And so,
Yes.
yeah, that's what it was.
I thought so too. Maybe that's the reason South Wrestling quit drawing and not had nothing to do with oil problems. So too long to get into but the steroid story concerning Warlord and Shawn Michaels is pretty funny. I don't know anything about this story.
We'll have to look that one up.
Yeah, let's look that one up.
It was good production. Yeah, it was awesome.
James Brown, I wonder if Tony got the AEW title back from Punk after he was fired.
He could have got it in the dumpster.
Hey, it could have been like Tommy Rich. He sold that Smoky Mountain Heavyweight Championship.
Did he?
Left out ahead of he left. But now to Tommy's defense, he said that Jimmy Cornette owed him money, and he probably did because he owed everybody else money. So he probably owed Tommy Rich money too. Even though Cornette will talk like these days, he didn't owe people money. Smoky Mountain Wrestling, he took care of everybody, paid everybody. He was all up to there. Yeah. Michael Barr, Southeastern Championship Wrestling was best as a kid. As an adult, Continental used to debate. I think Southeastern Wrestling was done very well.
Yeah.
I mean, it was tremendous. Are there any wrestlers in the business today that can play a heel or face as the kayfabe days of wrestling?
They're not required to.
No.
That gray area is so acceptable by WWE and AEW now that, that statement's been made, I think, by, I don't remember who it was now in the office at WWE, but they said, those days of good guys and bad guys is kind of over it. And maybe those huge ratings you used to have, that's why those are over with too. But
it's absolutely true because still, if you look at the ratings compared to the sports, NFL, etc., I mean, they blast them. I mean, they're far advanced than WWE or AEW or any of the others. Sure.
James Brown, how long was Stan Lane in Southeastern? I don't think he was there long, maybe 6 months. If he was there, he might have only been there 3 months. Because sometimes they only bring in guys for 3 months and then they leave.
Sometimes they only come through the summer. They only wanted to be in Pensacola on the beach.
Don Hester, hey guys, your dad was so awesome, really understood the business. How do you think he would have been? He did book. He was assistant booker for Georgia Championship Wrestling for years, almost for the whole 11 years. He was in some way helped take care of the booking. He was in the booking committee and helped Bill Dundee and a bunch of other guys. I can't remember who all was in the booking committee. Dutch Mantell was in it. Do you remember who all was in that booking committee?
Jake Roberts was in it. Seems like Jake Roberts was in it.
Yeah, and then this was 1985. Business was still pretty good. Bill Dundee was there, but they went from Bill Dundee and Dad would help Bill, and then they finally put a booking committee together. So that book from probably was because the first time he helped take care of the book, it was Gulf Coast Championship Wrestling, sometime in the 1970s. Probably about 72 maybe. 73.
They were there in 70. He was there in 70.
1970. So, he had booked. If you seen Dusty Rhodes get jumped in the parking lot, that was his ideal. If you seen Tommy Rich Buzzsaw your stuff, that was all his stuff. So,
if you ever seen me book a show, it's what I learned from him.
J. Michael Smith talking about Territory Days is better than watching today's product. Just my opinion. I'd rather watch the old stuff. If I have time to watch any of it. George Gulas says on YouTube, Greg Gagne was just as bad as he was, but Greg did play college football. I don't think Greg Gagne was as bad as George. Do y'all?
No. I think Greg, had he done a different gimmick and people did not know who his daddy was, I believe Greg would have got over better. Plus, if Greg had gone to the gym. But as far as abilities, though, no, Greg was far better, far better.
Because Greg was actually an amateur wrestler, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, and George was the basketball referee, correct? I mean, he didn't take amateur wrestling, right? To my knowledge, now he could have, but George could sail. He just couldn't make a comeback.
We
Michael
did call
Barr-
Greg. Do you remember we called? Was it to Steve-O? We called Greg Gagne. Called him Greg Gulas and got mad.
Steve-O got mad when you talked bad about.
You talk about AWA. We called him Vernie Gagne, and
We said,
I
hey,
made
that's
some of
like
the-
being the AWA World Heavyweight Champion or something like that.
oh well, he was about ready to fight. Boy, he slammed his hand on that on the dash.
If they would have had those little things that come out at you, those little airbags, it would have came out that day. He hit it pretty hard. And then when we found out it made them mad, we just had to keep on going. Keep on going.
Guess they don't.
we
We just
work
we
crap
say
for
Brett
service,
don't
wasn't
say anything bad about AWA. People get upset about it. Some people are sensitive.
Let's see. I was curious as to when my comments were going to be read. We read them, didn't we? We read them. We just didn't get down to them yet, Michael.